You want to be rich. You want the kind of wealth that frees your time, commands respect, and moves the world when you speak. But let me tell you the truth no one wants to say out loud. You will never be rich until you master the one thing no one taught you to control. Not money, not opportunity, not talent, yourself. The greatest poverty is not in your bank account, it's in your mind. It's the poverty of self-control, the bankruptcy of discipline, the starvation of purpose. You think wealth is about chasing money, but money is just a mirror. It reflects your thinking, your belief, your discipline, or your lack of it. That's why two men can be born on the same street, given the same education, and face the same storms. Yet one builds an empire, while the other begs for a break. Because wealth never starts outside you, it starts within. Every empire begins in the invisible. Long before the skyscrapers, the accounts, or the deals, there is a mind that refuses to be ordinary. Look at Carnegie. He didn't inherit wealth. He inherited nothing but steel in his soul. Henry Ford wasn't handed blueprints. He built the future with nothing but stubborn vision and relentless focus. And Edison, he failed over 1,000 times, yet still burned with the fire of I will. When others quit it, I tried. You think your conditions define you. You think your background is a ceiling. But the richest men in history were poor in resources, and rich in something far more powerful, belief. And belief, my friend, is not something you find. It's something you decide. And then you fight for it every damn day until the world bends. But belief is not enough. You can believe all you want and still waste your life if you never master what controls your every move, your mindset. Do you wake up reactive, or do you wake up ready? Do you let doubt linger, or do you burn it to ash with action? Do you talk about what you'll do, or do you become a walking force that does it? Listen, every fortune ever built began in silence, in the quiet hours when no one was watching. That's when champions are born. That's where you master the thoughts that will either enslave you or set you free. You must master your thinking. Until your mind becomes your servant instead of your master, you'll stay trapped. Trapped in small habits. Trapped in weak emotions. Trapped in excuses that sound smart but destroy lives. There is no wealth for the man who won't command his own thoughts. You want to be rich? Then stop negotiating with weakness. Stop feeding your fears more than your goals. Stop building other people's dreams while your own rot on the shelf of someday. This world is not kind to the unfocused. It does not reward the distracted. It does not hand out success like a gift. It hides it like a treasure. Buried behind trials, only the disciplined will overcome. Discipline is not restriction. Discipline is freedom. It is the bridge between who you are and who you say you want to be. Most people never cross that bridge. They stand on the edge of greatness, too afraid to burn the boats that keep them safe in mediocrity. But the masters, the ones who rise, build, and ascend, they light the match, they cut the rope, and they say, either I conquer this mountain or I die on the climb. That's the level of conviction it takes to be rich, not just in money, but in identity. And make no mistake, wealth is an identity before it is a result. The rich think in vision, not in limits. They act in discipline, not in moods. They delay comfort in favor of dominion. So ask yourself, do you even deserve the wealth you claim to want? Because if you say you want freedom, but you can't even control your morning, you're lying to yourself. If you say you want to lead, but you can't even lead your own impulses, your own scrolling, your own inner chaos, then leadership is just a fantasy. You have to earn your future by mastering your present. Every thought you allow, every habit you keep, every excuse you tolerate is either planting seeds of greatness or weeds of regret. And most people are watering the wrong garden. But you're not here to be most people. You're here to rise. You're here to awaken the part of you that's been beaten down by distraction, comfort, and compromise. You're here because some part of you knows you were built for more. The richest soil for wealth isn't out there. It's in here, right between your ears, right behind your rib cage, in your mind, and in your spirit. But the question is, will you till it? Will you work it? Will you fight to master it? Because the harvest will never come to the man who doesn't plant, prune, and persist. Absolutely. Here's the next seamless continuation of the script for the man who masters himself masters the world. But that mastery doesn't begin with ambition. It begins with clarity. Most people are busy. They confuse movement with progress. They run fast but in circles. They hustle without direction. And at the end of the year, they wonder why everything still feels the same. But the wealthy, the truly wealthy, don't just act. They act with aim. They don't chase every shiny thing. They focus. They sharpen their sword daily on the grindstone of clarity. They define what matters. They know exactly what mountain they are climbing, and more importantly, why. You want to get rich? Then know what you want. Don't just want more money. Want a reason that makes you sweat at dawn and bleed with purpose at midnight. Your life must become a declaration. This is who I am. This is what I'm here for. And this is what I will no longer tolerate. Without clarity, desire is just noise. And the world is full of noisy people going nowhere. So ask yourself, what do I want so badly that I'm willing to outlast, outwork, and outgrow every version of who I used to be? If your answer is vague, your results will be invisible. But if your answer is fire, pure, unshakable fire, then wealth will find you, because you will have become magnetic. People don't follow money. People follow vision. They follow energy. They follow certainty. Carve that into your identity, because the man who walks with certainty bends rooms, opens doors, and moves resources without permission. But clarity alone won't save you. You must have vision, not just a plan. Vision is what you see when your eyes are closed. Vision is the world as it could be if you have the courage to build it. When Walt Disney was laughed out of every bank in America, he kept building Disneyland in his mind. When Elon Musk was told Tesla would fail, he stayed locked into the image of a world running on clean power. When Oprah was told she didn't belong on TV, she kept showing up because her vision was bigger than their rejection. Vision is the blueprint of greatness, and most people don't fail because they lack resources. They fail because they stopped seeing. They let reality choke their imagination. They traded the future for comfort. They gave up their dream when the world didn't clap fast enough. But you, if you are to be rich, you must see beyond the noise. You must hold your vision with such loyalty that even doubt becomes afraid to whisper your name. And once you see it, you must live like it's already done. Move as if it's inevitable. Speak as if it's already yours. Work as if the only gap between now and then is effort. And that effort demands one thing above all: discipline. This is the dividing line between the almost successful and the legends. You want the truth? You don't need more motivation. You don't need more books, podcasts, planners, or tricks. You need to do the thing you said you would do, especially when you don't feel like it. Discipline is when the emotion is gone, but the commitment remains. Everyone is motivated on day one. Everyone feels brave when the sun is out. But wealth is built in the shadows, in the hours when it's cold, quiet, and inconvenient. Success doesn't care how you feel. It only listens to what you do. Discipline is self-respect in motion. Every time you wake up on time, you're telling yourself, I am worthy of this vision. Every time you say no to distraction, you're proving, I will not betray my future. And every time you show up when no one sees it, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And the universe listens. It's always listening. You either discipline your life, or your life disciplines you. You either master your days, or your days will break you into pieces. And broken people don't build wealth, they build excuses. So rise. Stand guard at the gates of your own mind. Choose your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. And when you feel like giving in, giving up, or going back to comfort, remember this: there is a version of you who already has the life you dream of. They are strong, clear, bold, grateful, focused, dangerous. And every choice you make is either a step toward them or a step away. Which will it be? Because until you become that version, until you think like them, speak like them, act like them, you will never be rich. You've heard it said, action is the foundational key to all success. But here's what they don't tell you. Most people are not lazy. They're just scared. They sit, they wait, they prepare, they talk. But deep down, they're not tired. They're terrified, afraid of failing, afraid of judgment, afraid they're not enough. And so they stay in the cave of what if. While the bold ones, those with nothing but grit and an unshakable will, walk into the unknown and build their kingdoms with bare hands. You cannot get rich if your life is built on hesitation. You cannot rise if you are chained to overthinking. You cannot lead if you refuse to move forward until the path is perfect. The road is never perfect. It wasn't for Edison. It wasn't for Mandela. It wasn't for Jobs or Ali or Hill himself. The world doesn't need more perfect plans. It needs braver decisions. So move. Action is the cure to fear. Action silences doubt. Action builds momentum. And momentum is the most underestimated wealth-building force there is. Start before you're ready. Speak before you feel confident. Act before the applause. Because confidence is not the cause of action. It is the result. Every time you move, you become bolder. Every time you decide, you become stronger. And every time you push forward while fear screams in your ears, you earn the right to live rich in soul and rich in life. But here's the test. The storm is coming. If you're going to be rich, you better know how to bleed and keep building. Resilience is the currency of every champion, and the world will test you. It will try to break you, not because it hates you, but because greatness cannot be inherited. It must be earned. The universe will hand you rejection, delay, isolation, and it will ask you, how bad do you really want this? Will you fold like most, or will you rise like the few? Rockefeller was told he'd never be more than a bookkeeper. Lincoln lost more elections than most people enter. Colonel Sanders didn't make his fortune until most men were retiring. They didn't win because they were special. They won because they did not quit. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be unbreakable. You need to stand in the storm with your fists clenched and your heart screaming, "This is where I earn my name." Every setback is a test. Every delay is a challenge. And every failure is asking you, are you willing to fight through this, or were you just pretending to want it? You will never be rich if you let a rough week take you out. You will never be wealthy if one no sends you back to your comfort zone. You will never become powerful if you run at the first sign of resistance. The rich, the truly rich, don't just survive setbacks. They multiply from them. They extract power from pain. They learn, they adapt, they evolve, because they understand that in every problem is a hidden gift, and most people are too weak to unwrap it. But not you. If you're here, if you're still listening, if your chest is burning and your soul is awake, then you know you're not like the rest. You were not built to fold. You were not built to blend in. You were not built to live a small life apologizing for your own ambition. You were built to rise, to learn, to lead, to earn every damn thing with scars, fire, and discipline. But resilience alone is not enough. You must become adaptable, fluid like water, sharp like steel. The world is changing. Technology, markets, industries, nothing stays still. And the man who refuses to learn will drown in the waves of a future he refused to prepare for. The rich don't resist change. They study it. They harness it. They ride it like a current, not a curse. You think mastering one skill will keep you safe? You think one job, one strategy, one trick will last forever? No. To build lasting wealth, you must become a student for life. Study the trends. Study yourself. Study your enemy. Study your craft like your survival depends on it. Because it does. Ignorance is expensive. Stubbornness is fatal. Pride kills more dreams than failure ever could. So learn. Stay sharp. Stay humble. Because the most dangerous man in any room is not the loudest. It's the one who knows how to adapt, evolve, and outthink the chaos. That is power. That is wealth. And that is mastery. Absolutely. Here is the next immersive continuation of your long-form motivational voiceover script. There's one truth that separates the truly wealthy from the eternally frustrated. Gratitude is not weakness. It is weaponry. You've been taught that being grateful means being content, that it means sitting still, settling, accepting what you have is enough. But that's a lie for the small-minded. Because the rich, they are grateful with fire in their veins. They wake up with fierce gratitude, not for comfort, but for opportunity. Not because everything is perfect, but because they are awake, alive, and armed with another chance to create. You will never be rich until you learn to say, I am thankful for this moment, and I will not waste it. Gratitude is the lens that makes you see the invisible blessings around you, opportunities, people, ideas, chances, before they disappear forever. Gratitude sharpens your vision, it raises your energy, it drowns out self-pity, and it rewires your nervous system to attract more of what you truly want. You want to be rich? Then stop waking up bitter. Stop complaining about the climb. Be grateful while you're hungry. Be grateful while you're building. Be grateful that you are not done yet. Because the second you begin to see your current struggle as fuel instead of failure, you change the frequency of your entire life. The richest men in the world have mastered this. Gratitude in pressure. Gratitude in uncertainty. Gratitude in the middle of the storm. Because they know storms birth empires. But gratitude alone is not enough. You must confront the most dangerous lie you've ever believed, that you are not enough. Wealth begins in your self-image. The way you see yourself sets the limit on your success. You can read every book, recite every affirmation, take every course, but if you still see yourself as unworthy, small and capable, your life will reflect it. You cannot outperform your identity. You cannot build an empire with the hands of a man who secretly feels like an imposter. The rich, before they had money, they had certainty. They believed they were destined. They walked like kings before the crown, because they saw themselves as worthy of wealth long before the world agreed. So I ask you, what image do you hold of yourself? Do you see the greatness in your own reflection, or only the flaws? Do you walk into rooms with presence, or do you shrink to fit comfort? Because here's the law. No one will see more in you than you see in yourself. You must speak to yourself like a king would his army. You must look in the mirror and not beg for permission, but declare, I am capable, I am chosen, I am dangerous, I am rising. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. Alignment with the version of you that's been whispering all these years. There is more, and it belongs to you. But to become that version, you have to make peace with this truth. You will outgrow people. You will make others uncomfortable. You will lose approval. And you must be willing to walk alone, because you cannot take everyone with you. Your future is heavy, and not everyone has the hands to carry it. So stop looking for validation. Stop trying to be liked. Start being respected by the man in the mirror. Self-mastery begins with one commitment. I will no longer betray my destiny for the comfort of others. You want to be rich? Then master the way you speak to yourself, because the voice in your head is the architect of your reality, and your thoughts are not random. They're rehearsed. They're repeated. They are habits just like brushing your teeth, and most of yours were installed by fear, failure, and someone else's limitations. But now you rewrite them. You install new beliefs, new patterns, new identity. You wake up every day and train your mind like a soldier. You are not soft. You are not lost. You are not waiting. You are rising. And day by day, your reality will start to follow your command, because reality is not fixed. It is bent by will, and your will must be relentless. Let the world call you obsessed. Let the critics laugh. Let the friends fade. Let the days hurt. Let the journey test. But never, ever let go of the vision. Absolutely. Here's the next uninterrupted segment of your cinematic voiceover script. There's something inside you that no school taught, no diploma defines, and no paycheck will ever measure. It's your purpose. Purpose is not a job. It's not your title. It's not even your passion. Purpose is your reason. It's the fire beneath your breath, the reason you keep rising when life keeps knocking. It's the invisible force that turns a worker into a warrior and a man into a movement. Most people die with their song still inside them, not because they didn't have the talent, but because they never connected with why they were fighting. You want to be rich? Then find the battle that makes you weep when no one is looking. Find the work that exhausts your body but energizes your soul. Find the pain you'd gladly endure because it means you are doing something that matters. Purpose is what turns your life into a legacy. It gives weight to your suffering. It gives clarity to your decisions. It gives depth to your ambition. Without purpose, money is meaningless. Without purpose, success is empty. Without purpose, you will rise fast and fall faster. But when your work is aligned with your purpose, you become unshakable. No rejection can stop you. No delay can discourage you. No storm can erase the vision tattooed into your spirit. So if you don't know your purpose yet, don't run from that question. Run toward it. Ask, reflect, fight. And when you find it, anchor yourself to it like your life depends on it. Because it does. And once you find it, go all in. The rich don't dabble. They don't kind of commit. They don't tiptoe toward greatness. They burn the bridge back to average. They destroy the plan B. They show up with blood in their mouth and say, I'm not leaving without what I came for. Most people think long-term vision is risky, but the real risk is short-term thinking. The man who lives only for the weekend, the next check, the next comfort, he dies without ever knowing who he could have been. But the man who thinks in decades, who builds not just for himself but for generations, he becomes immortal. You think wealth is just numbers. No, wealth is impact. Wealth is the ability to bend the future with your choices. Wealth is dying one day and leaving something behind that keeps living. But legacy is not built in bursts. It's built in rituals. Tiny, often invisible choices made in private that stack up to something massive in public. The way you speak, the way you lead, the way you finish what you start, all of it is legacy. So don't chase quick success. Build slow power. There is no shortcut. No one is coming to rescue you, and no one is going to hand you the crown. You must become the type of person who earns it, and that demands one more thing, the ability to suffer with purpose. Every great man in history suffered, but they used it. They turned their wounds into wisdom, their losses into leverage, their heartbreak into hunger. And that's the final mastery, to not just survive pain, but to convert it, to stand over your scars and say, you didn't break me, you built me. That's what rich men do. They don't avoid the fire, they become it. They are forged in pressure, not spared from it. So ask yourself, will you run from your pain? Will you numb it with distraction? Or will you channel it into domination? Because when you do, when you fully embrace the furnace, something sacred happens. You stop wishing, you stop begging, you stop waiting, and you start commanding. Not out of arrogance, out of alignment, out of knowing that you were not made to be average. You were made to reign. There comes a moment in every life, a line in the sand, where you decide, I will no longer live beneath what I was born to become. And that moment, it's not tomorrow. It's not when it's convenient. It's not when you're more confident, less afraid, more supported, better prepared. It's now, because life doesn't wait for the ready. It moves with the committed. And wealth does not belong to the man who waits. It belongs to the one who claims it. You will never be rich until you understand you are the asset, not your product, not your business, not your brand. You, your mindset, your energy, your leadership, your habits, your convictions, your discipline, your identity. If you're broke inside, the world will reflect it back to you in zeros. But when you rise from within, when you decide that average is no longer acceptable, when you demand more from yourself than any coach, parent, or boss ever could, that's when the world starts to bend in your favor. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are is being shaped in every moment by the standards you enforce, the thoughts you entertain, the actions you repeat. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You don't need perfect conditions. You need to look in the mirror and say, "This is mine, and I'm taking it." And no, taking doesn't mean stealing. It means becoming. It means stepping into your calling so fully that the world has to respond. It means speaking in rooms where you used to shrink, walking into negotiations with fire in your eyes, standing on stages with your scars and your story and your soul fully exposed because you've earned your place. And even if no one claps, even if no one believes, even if no one understands, you know this truth. You are no longer available for mediocrity. You are no longer tolerating a life that's good enough. You are no longer diluting your power just to fit into spaces that were never built for your expansion, because something sacred has awakened in you, a fire, a clarity, a vision, and from this moment forward you move different, you speak different, you demand different, because now you understand. Wealth is not about luck, it's not about talent, it's not about connections, it's about alignment, it's about mastery, it's about owning the one thing that no one can take from you yourself. You will never be rich, not until you master your thoughts, not until you master your habits, not until you master your vision, not until you master your voice, not until you master your discipline, not until you master your pain. Because the world does not need more noise. It needs more people on fire with purpose, more people who walk like giants, not because they're fearless, but because their mission is bigger than their fear. And you, if you've made it this far, if your chest is tight and your eyes are stinging, if your soul is nodding through every line, it's because you already know. This message wasn't just a speech, it was a mirror, a reminder, a reckoning. Because deep down you've always known. You were never meant to be average. You were never meant to play small. You were never meant to live and die in the shadows of your own potential. You were meant to build. You were meant to rise. You were meant to lead. You were meant to own your life. So go, break the chains, burn the excuses, sharpen your mind, command your energy, protect your peace, and build your empire. One unshakable thought, one disciplined action, one bold day at a time. Because now, you are no longer waiting, you are no longer wishing, you are mastering. And the moment you do that, the moment you truly own yourself without apology, without hesitation, without delay, that's the moment wealth will follow you. Because you will have become unignorable, and you will never be poor again. Not in mindset, not in mission, not in legacy, not in life. You will be rich because you mastered what matters most. You,